What's up, Tru Heel Heat? Tru Heel Heat.
What's up? Tru Heel Heat. All hands is on me.
Hello. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom, SP3, and we are back once again with another edition of Tru Heel Heat Check, discussing the latest in NBA news. And y'all know what time it is. You know what time of the year it is. It is time for us to discuss the NBA playoffs, the most wonderful time of the year for basketball fans. And we're here to break it all down, as well as give you our end of season awards and first team, second team, and third team all NBA. And to do that, I am joined by my esteemed colleague. He is streamer extraordinaire, basketball savant, all-star point guard, the one and only TC. What's up?
How everybody doing, man? Excited to be here as always every week. Very excited for the NBA playoffs. We got a very exciting play-in yesterday that has me super stoked for the playoffs this year, and I'm just excited to talk about it.
Yeah, we're going to discuss the play-in. We're going to discuss the playoffs. We'll give you our predictions on who we think is winning the NBA championship. So this is one of our biggest episodes of the year. So if you haven't already, drop a thumbs up on the video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you are new to Tru Heel Heat Sports and Entertainment. We're here with Tru Heel Heat Check. We've covered all of the NBA season so far, probably the most active we've had this podcast on the channel. So it's a great time to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified whenever a new episode drops, so you always know when we're talking about the NBA here on Tru Heel Heat Sports and Entertainment. And if you got your predictions, your award winners for the NBA season 2025-2026, let us know in the comments down below. Let us know your MVP, your DPOY, your most improved player, rookie of the year, six-man coach of the year, and clutch player of the year, as well as first team All-NBA, and your predictions for the NBA playoffs there, and we can keep the conversation going. But yes, we're coming off of the first couple of games of the play-in, but the season is over. The seeds have been set, and now we know who is a part of this year's NBA playoffs. Before we get into the award winners for us individually, what did you think kind of overall about this NBA season? This was one of the more interesting NBA seasons in a long time. I don't know if it's because we've been covering it as often as we do. I'm looking at it a little bit differently, but there was a whole bunch of different stories throughout the year, one of the most tightly contested MVP award races that we've ever seen, and so many players having probably the best years of their entire career. So what was your thoughts on this NBA season?
I think that this NBA season was definitely one of the most exciting that we've seen probably the past 4 to 5 years. I think that the 65 game rule, even though I'm not a big fan of it due to the injuries, I think that it pushed NBA players to play at their top of their peak because they feel like they have more of an opportunity to get these awards. They feel like, all right, well, usually I'm available. If I just play how I play, I can have a chance to be on all NBA teams, get the incentives for my contracts and things like that. I also think that it's also probably the most wide open the NBA has been in terms of who can win the championship and who's contenders. Like the Pacers made it to the Eastern Conference Finals the last 2 years, but they had all those injuries. So now the East was wide open, especially with Tatum being hurt most of the year. The East was wide open. So players on the East were having career years and playing to their peak. And then with the Thunder, there was a big asterisk on whether Jalen Williams was going to come back and be healthy. And Chet always in and out of the lineup. Jokic got hurt earlier in the season. Reeves and Braun were out to start this for large portions of the season to start the season. So it's like with all these teams with question marks, it's like, all right, well, this is our time to, get if we have a championship window, it's no better time than the present. And I just think that showed off across the whole league. Like teams that we thought weren't going to be good ended up having great years because they're taking advantage of, the wide open race for this NBA championship. So it's definitely been the most exciting year. I've changed my MVP pick multiple times this year. I've changed my all NBA teams multiple times this year. The contenders, I feel like the second half of the season showed, the cream of the crop kind of rose to the top. But besides that, it's like I didn't even know who I thought was going to be in the NBA Finals probably right before the All-Star break. So it's just been a really exciting and fun season.
Yeah, it's been a lot of twists and turns of the season, which makes the awards very interesting to discuss. And that's how we're going to start off this episode. Let's start off with of the year. And I've been saying it for months. It's not changed whatsoever. They finished off the season as the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference in a year that was supposed to be kind of their off year because of the Jason Tatum injury. It has to be Joe Mazzulla in my eyes. Joe Mazzulla got the most out of his role players. He got a career year out of Jaylen Brown and the Boston Celtics, who basically sold on their whole entire team, trading Drew Holiday, trading Porzingis. Joe Mazzulla got the most out of that team and really proved himself as a guy that, a lot of people had question marks about when he took over for Ime Udoka, and, Brad Stevens had that nice run with the Celtics as well. He's come in and he's shown that he's one of the best coaches in the league. And I think this year was his crowning achievement. So he's my coach of the year. Who you got?
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. The only other person that I had as a second place was Mitch Johnson, just because of how much of the rise that the Spurs had. But I think that the Spurs, my uncle can tell you, I was very high on the Spurs coming into the season. Just with a healthy Wemby, that team can be what they were this year. With Joe Mazzulla, I mean, like you said, they're role players. They got guys that would not play one game and next game give you a double-double and play amazing defense. Peyton Pritchard and Derek White all had to step up big time, and they were able to do that. He's somehow been able to keep their defensive level and their offensive rating really high with losing the likes of Drew Holiday. He's one of the best on-ball defenders we're going to see in the NBA. Porzingis, who's a rim protector. Al Horford, who was the anchor of their defense. Losing 3 guys that are very good two-way players and very good defenders and still having such an elite defense is something that I think is a big testament to Joe Mazzulla. Not only his coaching and his philosophy, but also what he can get out of his role players and get those guys to believe and stuff like that. So I definitely have Joe Mazzulla for my coach of the year.
All right, so we're on the same page there. Now we go to clutch player of the year. Who do you have?
It's gonna go to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's just elite in the clutch. It's such an interesting stat with him because he doesn't play a lot of fourth quarters because of how many times that the Thunder do blow teams out. But when he does play in the fourth quarter, he's absolutely elite. So it's like that's the one knock I could only see if he somehow doesn't ridiculously win the award. But just when you think about clutch moments in NBA this season, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is in the forefront of all of them, whether it's a game winner, a dagger, like him in the fourth quarter with his ability to get to the line and draw fouls, but also his difficult shot making. He's just been elite for the Thunder in the fourth quarter. I think he's averaging like 9 to 10 points in the fourth quarter on like ridiculous efficiency. So I have him as my clutch player of the year.
Yeah, this one was easy. It's definitely Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because he doesn't play as many fourth quarters, but when he does, he's lights out. And I think that he really kind of sealed it with the game winner against the Denver Nuggets, where a lot of people said that he sealed up a lot of awards in that one game. I think clutch player of the year was definitely the one for me where I was like, I don't think anybody else has made as many game-winning shots or clinching shots in the fourth quarter as much as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The only person like early on in the year that could have competed with him is Anthony Edwards, but Anthony Edwards is not going to be in contention because he came so below the 65 game minimum. So it has to be Shai.
Yeah.
Sixth man of the years, I'm going to go with Keldon Johnson of the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs are one of the deepest teams in the NBA. They have so much depth, and their starting five is so good. And you had Stephen Castle, who's had a career year. You got Fox, who's kind of come into his form and really gelled with the team. Of course, Wemby had an MVP style season, but coming off the bench, you have someone like a Keldon Johnson who just has been lights out some at certain points in the regular season. He's really contributed so much coming off the bench. So I had to give him my sixth man of the year. And his influence and impact on the Spurs is really the reason why they've been one of the top teams in the Western Conference. So who you got for sixth man of the year?
I think we're gonna go 3 for 3 on having the same ideas. I definitely have Keldon Johnson. I think, like, to me, besides like the elite scoring six mans like Manu Ginobili, Lou Will, Jamal Crawford, he like is the epitome of a six man. He comes in and does all the dirty work, plays super hard. He's a good rebounder for his position, and he also matches it with the scoring. You know, he can score the ball as well, but he just comes in and plays super hard like that. I think the game that sealed it up for him last week, the Spurs played the Trailblazers at home. No Wemby, no Castle, or maybe Castle played, but they were out without a couple players. And Keldon Johnson came off the bench and had 20 and 8. And it was just like he changed the game because the Trailblazers came out and jumped on the Spurs early. They were up by 10, 15 points. I think he was like a plus 18 plus minus in that game. Like he came in, changed the whole trajectory, dove on some loose balls, got some offensive rebounds, second chance putbacks. He just changed the whole game for them. And that's something that team needs because they have a very talented team. Wemby's talented. Darren Fox is talented, but like the guys like Stephon Castle and Keldon Johnson come in, do the dirty work, play hard on defense, play hard every time they're on the court. So I definitely have Keldon Johnson as my sixth man.
So then we got the rookie of the year. Who are you going with rookie of the year?
Until about 2 weeks ago, I had Con Kneppel, but this award is for surely going to Cooper Flagg, and it is well deserved. I will admit, since I'm online and this will go on YouTube and all these places, I was not a big fan of Cooper Flagg coming into the NBA. I did not think that he had the one-on-one capabilities to score against elite defenses, and all he's done this entire second half of the season is shut me up. He has been an amazing player. He's been able to show that he could score against elite defenses, all the elite defenders in the West. He's really improved his jump shot. That's still the thing that he needs to work on, but his mid-range is really good. His finishing around the rim, like all the things that I had question marks about Cooper Flagg, he completely proved me wrong. And I definitely enjoy being wrong about somebody being good at basketball. I think Con Kneppel had an amazing and a legendary season shooting-wise, and he's going to be an amazing NBA basketball player. But I think teams have started to figure him out a little bit, where Cooper Flagg, every time I feel like he's gotten figured out, I look again, he has 30. Or if he starts off slow, he finishes with 40. He's going to be a staple in the NBA, a soon top 10, top 15 player in the NBA. So he's definitely my rookie of the year.
Yeah, we are gonna build 4 for 4. I wanted really to give it to Con Kneppel because I do think that it matters being on a playoff team and your impact to that. And I thought that he's been a difference maker for the Charlotte Hornets this year. But yeah, Cooper Flagg has just been so undeniable, especially the last 2 months of the season, averaging 21 points, 7 rebounds, 4.5 assists for the year. But I think in the last month he's averaged like 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. So he's stepped up his game significantly. He had that great game against the Spurs where he dropped 33 in the last week of the year. He had that great game against LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers where he dropped 45, the 51-point game, first youngest rookie to ever score 50 in an NBA game. Like, he has just shown so much versatility on the offensive end, and he already came into this league as being one of the best defensive rookies. So he's really putting his game together where you can see him becoming a perennial all-star, withstanding injuries. Like, he's just been a difference maker. I just think like the only part of his game that needs improvement is his 3-point shooting, but I think that he has the capabilities of figuring that out. So yeah, he's just so good so early in his career. You have to give it to Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, I mean, in March in February he averaged 27, 6 and 4, and then in April in a few games he played, he averaged 29, 7 and 4 on 47 from the field, 43 from 3, and 95 from the line. I mean, he just completely took over the award the last couple months.
Yeah. All right, most improved player, I think is one that feels like a toss up, like what the MVP award was for much of the season, where it was a 4-horse race. I think most improved player is a very tightly contested 2-horse race, where I think you can go with one of two people. It's tough for me, but I do want to award this team for how well they've played during the regular season, and I think they should take home at least one award. You know, JB Bickerstaff is probably in the top 3 for Coach of the Year, but I'm going to go with Jalen Durant as the most improved player. He's just been a force to be reckoned with. He's stepped up and been that number 2 option on the Detroit Pistons next to Cade Cunningham, just putting up numbers as a big man. He's one of the best centers in the NBA this year. Like he's been a defensive force for the Detroit Pistons. For the year, he's averaging 19.5 points, 10.5 rebounds. He's in the interior, just controlling things and being an anchor for one of the best defenses in the NBA. And he was an all-star this year, so he checks all the boxes. I had to give him my most improved player. Who are you giving it to?
This will be our first time that we are not aligned. Just want to say real quickly before I give my who I think is going to win it. The person I wanted to win it very badly was Ryan Rollins. I think Ryan Rollins improved so much this year, from being a guy that was an outcast in the NBA, couldn't even stay on a team, was getting cut constantly, to being what I think the Bucks are really leaning towards, making him the staple of their rebuild. I mean,
yeah,
he's been somebody that I've really enjoyed watching play a lot. He's really, really, really improved, and to me, he gives off the guy that's like gonna take even more of a leap. Like this year, he's averaging 17 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, 5.6 assists, 47% from the field. I mean, and then just like if you look at his entire career, sorry, I'm just pulling everything up real quick.
No.
Like for his whole career, before this season, he was averaging 4 points a game, 3 points a game, 6 points per game. Like to go from there to 17. Last year he was at 6 points per game. This year he's at 17. Last year he's at 1 rebound a game. This year he's at 5. Last year he's at 2 assists a game. This year he's at 6. Like that's what I look at as the definition of the most improved player. He's improved the most out of anybody. So I wish that the award went to him. But who I do think is going to go to is Deni Avdija. I think that he's just for the Trailblazers to make the playoffs in such a deep Western Conference, and like him to put up 24, 7 and 7 on 46% from the field. It's like, this is what we expected from Deni when he got drafted, you know? So it's like, now that he's finally doing it, I mean, it's just like, this is what we expected, but it's still an improvement. You know, I've always been a big guy on, I don't like when most improved players go to like lottery picks or top 5 picks when they go from averaging 15 to 20 or 18 to 20. Like a lot of people at the beginning of the year were big on Austin Reeves winning it. And I'm like, well, Austin Reeves was averaging 20 before that. Now LeBron's not playing. It's a lot more usage. You know, wasn't a big fan of guys like that, but in Deni Avdija's case, the Blazers being a playoff team now confirmed, him being an all-star with those numbers, I think that he's going to win the award, and it's very well deserved. But definitely Jalen Duren would be my very, very close second. I wish that they would do co-awards more often, because I think those would have been the 2 most improved guys on team that matters for, teams that are actually playing winning basketball. But like I said, my honorable mention is definitely Ryan Rollins. 6 points to 17 points is like the guys that I wish more so often got the most improved player. You know, that's a guy that was almost out the league. Now he's a staple for a team that's in rebuild mode.
Yeah, definitely. I think in the future, maybe that's where they should like point the most improved players, because this was kind of foreseen with the guys like Devi and like Durant.
Duren.
Yeah. But defensive player of the year, MVP, I think are kind of foregone conclusions. Who's winning those? I don't
think we need to talk about DPOY. That has been confirmed since the season started.
Yeah, it's Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, it's Wemby for sure.
Automatic there.
It's going to be him for the next 5 to 6 years.
Pretty much. And then MVP for the season is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who kind of won it by default.
Yes, I was very big on the Luka MVP train. And I've seen actually a lot of like analysis guys like on ESPN and all these places really are pushing Wemby to get MVP, which I can also see that as well with the Spurs going from a lottery team and a second pick in the draft to being second in the NBA. But I just think Shea's undeniable. I think his case for MVP is a lot better this year because of all the injuries they had to endure. The Thunder, I think, is just the best team in the NBA. So it's like with me, it's like I think we've moved past the best player on the best team award, but with all the injuries that OKC had to deal with this year, I think Shea firmly showed why he was the most valuable player in the NBA. I would have definitely used it against him if J Dub played the majority of the games and Chet played. I'm like, well, they just have a super team. He can't be the most valuable player. But with those guys being injured, he definitely ran away with the award this year, especially with this late season push.
Yeah, I think this might be his last MVP for the next couple of years.
Oh no, definitely. If they put Wemby at plus money on any betting app next year for MVP, I'm putting whatever I have in my bank account on it. He's winning it for the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, he just has to stay healthy and he'll definitely win it. But speaking of MVP, we go to our first team All NBA. So I know we both have a if they get the exception, and then if they don't get the exception, first team All NBA. So who you got in your if they get the exception first team All NBA?
I personally believe that both Cade and Luka will get the exception, especially Luka, because I think anybody in the NBA would leave if we're having a child. So I think he'll get it for sure. My first team, I think the unanimous guys are SGA, Jokic, and Wemby. Those guys are unanimous. I think there's a ballot that doesn't have any of those guys on all NBA teams. I'll be very concerned about who they're allowing to vote for these things. But for me, if Luka does make it, I have Luka as my All NBA first team most definitely. And this last spot was such a toss up, but I have to give credit to being the second team in the East. I have Jaylen Brown as my last All NBA first team. I really, 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 as a Knicks fan, wanted to put Kawhi over Jaylen Brown just to get some Celtics hate in there. But he was able to do without Jason Tatum, with the role guys. Same reasons that we gave Joe Mazzulla Coach of the Year. Jaylen Brown is just as big of a reason why they were able to maintain that second seed. And I've always been a guy that wants to give credit to people that show value in the NBA. If Jaylen Brown's not on that Celtics team, they are a lottery team. And going from a lottery to the second team in the East in a very wide open, tough Eastern Conference this year, I got to give him this credit.
So if they do get the exception, I got it too. I got Luka in there. So I think it's Shea, Jokic, Wemby, Luka. And if he's going to get the exception, maybe someone else can. I'll go with Cade. And then without those exceptions, I got Shea, Jokic, Wemby, Jaylen Brown, and Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, mine and yours is very similar. If there's no exceptions, I have that same first five. Shea, Wemby, Jokic, Jaylen Brown, Kawhi would be my first All NBA first team if Luka and Cade don't get a exception.
Yeah. Second team All NBA, I got Donovan Mitchell, I got Kevin Durant, Jalen Brunson, Jamal Murray, and your boy Jalen Johnson.
Okay, this is where mine and yours differ a little bit. I spoke to my uncle about this a little bit pre-live. Donovan Mitchell is going to win second team All NBA. I personally don't have him in my second team All NBA, but he's going to get that, and it's going to be well deserved. It's not a knock on his play or the season he's had. He had an amazing season and very well deserved to be second All NBA. But I have here on mine a little different. I have Kawhi, second team, with the exception, Cade, Kevin Durant, Jalen Brunson, and then I have Jalen Duren on my second team All NBA instead of Jalen Johnson. I like to give credit to the team that gets first place in the conference. And I think that even though his numbers might not look second team, his impact, what I see from my eye test, he's been to me a top 3, top 4 center in the NBA this year. So I want to make sure that he gets rewarded for that. If there is an exception, I will be adding Jamal Murray to my second. I mean, if there's no exception, Jamal Murray would be on my second team. The season that he's had, I was talking to my uncle about this, like 25 points a game, 7 assists, 49 from the field, 43 from 3, 89 from the field. I mean, from the free throw line, and keeping the Nuggets above water without Jokic in the 16 games that he missed. I just think that Jamal Murray's always been a playoff riser, and I'm very happy that he's put it together for a full season so that he can actually get the accolades that he deserves, because talent-wise, he's always been a top point guard in the NBA to me, and he shows it every playoffs, but now he has a regular season to back it up. So I would have him in my second team if Luka and Cade do not get an exception.
Third team All NBA, I got Chet Holmgren, I got Scotty Barnes, Bam Adebayo, Tyrese Maxey, I guess if there's an exception, and Jalen Durant.
Mine is pretty similar, except that since I have Jalen Durant on my second team, I have Jalen Johnson on my third team. I have Scotty, Jalen Johnson, Chet, Maxey, and I have Cat on my third team. If there's an exception, Murray would bounce to my third team, and I probably would take either Scotty or Cat off. But if not, that would be my third team. I think that, like I said, I wanted to make sure Scotty got on here. His defense and what he did this year for the Raptors and them being a playoff team was big for me. And then Cat, I think Cat's season was pretty underrated this year. I think his second half of the season, he really picked it up on the defensive end. His rebounding's always been elite, and he seemed to find a little bit of a rhythm on offense. It's not a typical Cat year, so I know a lot of people will probably leave him off their All NBA teams, but I still was pretty impressed with his second half of the season, enough to sneak him on my third team.
Makes sense. Who's your we'll just do all defense first team.
My all defense first team is going to be so different from everybody else's. I'm going by off what I watch. I'm having Victor Wembanyama on my first team along with Chet.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to have Stephon Castle. I see a lot of people having him on second team or even leaving him off. And from me watching the games, that's just mind blowing to me. I mean, he's been one of, if not the best on-ball defender I've watched this season. And with Wemby being such a prominent figure in the NBA, they've had a lot more televised games. So I've watched a lot more Spurs games, and it seems like he can just shut people completely out of the game. Like, there's been games where I most recently they played the Sixers the other day, and like I looked at the box score and Tyrese Maxey had like 4 points on like 2 for 8 at halftime. I'm like, wow, like Maxey averages 28 points per game, and Castle just completely shutting him off the game. But those two are definitely on my first team. I'm not a big fan of putting both Asar and Amen on my first team, so I'm gonna choose and pick Asar on the Pistons. I think that he's like the catalyst for their defense. They have other good defenders on their team, but he makes it very difficult for star players to go into Detroit and have a good game against them, and hence why they are the number 1 seed and one of the top 5 defenses in the NBA. Also going to throw Scotty in on my first team on defense. I just think his ability to guard 1 through 5, like he's a definition of being able to guard 1 through 5, and he does it at an elite level. It's not like he's one of those guys that can guard 5s and 4s, but he gets dominated and he's just down there. Like, he's guarding 5s and 4s very well, and also switching on to point guards and guarding really well. And for this last spot, it's a lot of ways I can go. I want to go Evan Mobley, but I might have to put a little asterisk there. I don't know how I'm gonna go for my spot. I think I'm gonna put him on second team. I don't know. I have to really think about who I'm gonna put for fifth on first team, because there's a lot of guys I have definitively on second team. So those are my 4. I'll figure out my 5th guy while you give your list.
Well, I got pretty much a lot of the same. I got Wemby, I got Scotty Barnes, Asar Thompson, Chet Holmgren, and my 5th is Derek White.
Oh, yes.
Derek White for the Boston Celtics. That's why I'll put him on my 5th spot. Yeah. I know I was missing somebody because I had Jaylen Brown on my second team. I'm like, I know I'm missing somebody. Yeah, Derek White's definitely first team on defense, 100%. Yeah. I had to show some love. The Celtics, like I said, they're number 2 seed, and it's really because their role players have stepped up, and it's been Derek White who's really led the charge for the role players who stepped up on that team. So had to give him some love with that. So With it is our awards, our first team, second team, third team All NBA, as well as first team All Defense. It's now time to give our predictions on the NBA playoffs. Yesterday we had, while we're recording this, yesterday was the first games of the play-in. You had the Portland Trailblazers picking up the win over the Phoenix Suns, an upset, an 8 seed, usurping a 7 seed to get the 7 seed. So now we'll get the Portland Trailblazers versus the San Antonio Spurs. And we had the Charlotte Hornets defeating the Miami Heat. So Miami Heat are eliminated. They're now going to be in the lottery. The Hornets won. The Hornets will now play the winner of the Orlando Magic and the Philadelphia 76ers. What was your thoughts on those games?
I think that I think I say every year, but like Adam Silver did, he might not be the best guy, but he did an amazing job adding the play-in. Those games are both very exciting to watch, especially that Hornets Heat game that probably by the end of the year when they give awards will probably go down as the game of the year, probably that, and then the Spurs Nuggets game that we got at the end of the season. But just high level basketball, and just like it gives off that NCAA tournament feel, like win or go home, and that's when you see guys at their best. And the Heat Hornets game like literally had me at the edge of my seat for the last 5 minutes, and then the 5 minutes of overtime. It was great basketball, and then the Trailblazers game ended up, even though the Trailblazers had the control of the game for most of the game, the Suns made a really late push and ended up being a 1-2 possession game pretty much through the last 2 minutes. And it's like, that's the type of stuff we want to see to get us ready for playoff basketball, and it was really exciting to see. It was very happy for the Hornets to win because I'm very high on them. I think that they have the young pieces to eventually be very good in the NBA, and I am tired of seeing the Heat be mediocre in the regular season and win the play-in and then get killed by the first or second seed in the East every single year. So I'm happy I don't have to watch Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo playoff basketball. Very excited for that. But on the Trailblazers, and I think they're a really good matchup for the Spurs. I think that that's going to be a really good series. I would not have liked to see the Suns and the Spurs. I think with this Spurs defense, they would have got the Suns out of there in 4 to 5 games. The Trailblazers, though, is a very different animal that I think that a lot of people are kind of underestimating. I think that's going to be a really good first-round series.
Yeah, I think that should be very good. So we got 2 more for the first, or I guess the first round, you could say, of the play-in. You got the over in the Western Conference, the 9-10 matchup is a good one. You got Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers versus Steph Curry, who just returned, and the Golden State Warriors. Who do you have?
I want the Clippers to win very badly because I want the Clippers to make the playoffs. I just think Kawhi in the playoffs is just such a elite watch, and it would suck to not get this version of him, a healthy version of him, to not see him in the postseason. But it also will suck to not see Steph Curry in the postseason, who's had some of the most memorable postseason moments and runs in my generation. I just think the Clippers have a better team. With the Warriors injuries, losing Moses Moody, I think really, really hurts because what the season that he had. And I thought that you can't replace Jimmy Butler with anybody on that team, but he could give them the defense and the shooting ability and the floor spacing around Steph to at least give the Warriors a push. I just don't know if the Warriors have enough without Steph. I mean, with just only Steph. Now, if Porzingis is healthy and he can play the 25 to 30 minutes this game, I think the Warriors can win this game, but that's always a question mark with Kristaps Porzingis' health. I am going to take the Clippers in this game grudgingly, but I do really think that we're going to get another really good game in this game, like down to the wire. And I think we're going to get some memorable, ridiculous shots from Steph and Kawhi Leonard coming down the stretch. But I do have the Clippers winning that game.
Yeah, I got the Clippers picking up the victory. It's Kawhi Leonard and the comeback that the Clippers have made the second half of the season. It's too good to not have them make at least a push to get into the playoffs. So I got them, and I just feel like especially with the top 3 players of the Golden State Warriors, I think they've played a total of 15 minutes together with Porzingis, Green, and Curry. So yeah, it's just too soon for them to be able to beat the Clippers. But I expect this game to be just as good as that Hornets and Heat game.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be a fun one. And then over in the Eastern Conference, we got the 7-8 matchup, which is going to be the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Orlando Magic. I would love to say the Orlando Magic were going to lose because I just feel like they've been the most disappointing team of the entire regular season as far as like what people expected from them, especially in the Eastern Conference coming off the offseason that they had after getting Desmond Bane. A lot of people had them as a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. So to see them in this position where they might not make the playoffs is very disappointing. But I'm going to say the Orlando Magic are going to beat the Philadelphia 76ers, mainly because there's no Joel Embiid.
Hey, I'm extremely disappointed that Joel Embiid is hurt again. He has some of the worst luck with injuries because I was very, very looking forward to a Sixers-Celtics matchup in the first round. I think that would have been cinema basketball. I mean, Maxey, Paul George has looked like a shell of himself from back in his prime this past month, and then Embiid has looked really well when he's healthy. I mean, just that versus Tatum and Jaylen Brown for Tatum's first playoff series back since being injured. I just think that would have sold a lot of views and a lot of tickets. But one thing I will say, the Magic have been extremely disappointing, but I will not sit and ignore what I watched Paolo Banchero do in the playoffs last year. If he is what I like to call a playoff riser, I have the slightest bit of faith in this Magic team. And I'm just gonna go back to thinking of when they played in the play-in. I mean, not in the play-in, in the NBA Cup. They were pretty decent in the NBA Cup, just able to get to the Final Four. You know, they were the second team in the East that lost to the Knicks. I think that this team has not reached its potential. Franz Wagner being back, I think, helps them a lot. He's not 100%, but just his presence on the court, I think that's also a big reason why they're very disappointing, because I think he is more impactful to that team than Paolo Banchero. So I am going to go with the Magic in this game grudgingly, but I also wouldn't be surprised if the Magic lose at all. Like, it would not surprise me if they lose this game. But I'm just hoping that Paolo Banchero is a playoff riser, and he had a subpar season for the whole season to have a good playoffs. So I'm going to take the Magic.
And he has been good the second half of the season. So yeah. I'll go with Orlando as well with that one. So that would mean we would get Philadelphia 76ers versus the Charlotte Hornets. And once again, I'm going to call out that no Joel Embiid. I love Maxey. Like I said, I think Maxey is third team All NBA for the season. But I need me some Charlotte Hornets versus the Detroit Pistons in the first round. So I'm going with the Charlotte Hornets.
This one's going to be tough for me because I think that the Sixers match up with the Hornets very well. And that concerns me. I think that VJ harassing LaMelo all day, Paul George guarding Brandon Miller, and then Maxey is a very underrated defender in the NBA. Him chasing around Con Kneppel, just defensively wise, I think that could give the Hornets a little bit of problems. I do really, really, really want the Hornets to win. And I know Joel Embiid is a very, very big miss. It's just that them winning that game last night with no Bam Adebayo, it didn't really move me as much as I thought it would. I thought once Bam went out that they were going to kind of run away with it, and they kind of struggled on the defensive end to get stops against the Heat's fast-paced tempo. My heart wants to pick the Hornets, but I'm going to go against everybody in the world, and I'm going to take the Sixers to be the 8th seed in the East, and hoping for a Joel Embiid masterclass when he comes back healthy in the playoffs to give us a good series.
So we'll see what happens there. And then that would mean in the Western Conference, it would be the Suns versus the Clippers. Like I said before, I need the Clippers to have this miraculous turnaround, and I need them to be the 8th seed. So I'm going with the Clippers.
Man, I think the Clippers might win that game by 20 points. I think the Suns are devastated that they lost that game to the Blazers yesterday at home on their home court. I think that I think a lot of these things with these one-game elimination games is psychological. It's a real mental thing. Like losing on your home court after making that miraculous comeback, Jalen Green having the game that he had to the Blazers, who only had, I think, 2, maybe 3 people in double figures, and one of them was Denny having 40. I mean, if Denny's scoring 40 on them like that, I'm very nervous what Kawhi Leonard is about to do to that team. But yeah, I think the Clippers are going to win. I think they're going to win pretty comfortably. I don't think we're going to get a good game out of that game.
All right, so let's look at the playoff bracket now. So this is how it's set before the play-in started, but now we know our predictions for the play-in. So let's start off with the Western Conference. So we both have the Clippers making it through to the 8th seed. Clippers versus the Thunder. I'm taking the Thunder in 6 games. I will give Kawhi 2 games against that team, but I think the Thunder are just the better team overall, and they'll make it to the second round. Who do you got? Thunder versus Clippers.
I want to give Kawhi 2 games, but I think I'm only going to be able to give him 1, mostly because their starting center is Brook Lopez, who is one of the worst defending centers in the NBA. And that puts a lot of pressure on Darius Garland, who's also not a really good defender, to be a better on-ball defender. And that puts even more pressure on Kawhi Leonard to be that elite two-way guy that we've been so accustomed to see. And I think that by 3rd, 4th game, his legs are going to start getting a little tired from having to guard so much on the other end and carry the load on offense. I will give him 1 game, though, but I think the Thunder win in 5 games.
Then we got in the bottom half of the bracket on the Western Conference side, it's going to be the Portland Trailblazers versus the San Antonio Spurs. I will take the Spurs. I'll also take the Spurs in 6 games. I think, like you said, the Portland Trailblazers match up with them very well, and they're still a young team. So I think they'll blow one. I'll give 1 to like Devi and the way he played in that play-in. Maybe he could deliver again in the same way, but yeah, I'll go with San Antonio in 6.
I am right with you in San Antonio in 6. I also would not be surprised if this is a 7-game series. Big factor being the fact that the Spurs are young. This is a lot of their first playoff series. Granted, the Trailblazers is pretty young too, but they do have the Drew Holiday veteran presence, a guy that's won 2 rings before, and is like, he's not a role guy on the bench who's like, giving people advice, coaching people up. He's on the court with them 30 minutes a game to help them out do this little push. But yeah, I just think that the Trailblazers' length and can really bother the Spurs a lot. The thing that I'm going to really be keyed in on is what they do with Donovan Clingan, because they kind of try to hide Donovan Clingan when he plays against better big men so that he could roam and be in the paint. And with the Spurs lineup that they've been running lately, that means he would probably be guarding either one of Stephon Castle or Julian Champagne, and I think that's going to really hurt the Trailblazers in the long run. So I do think the Spurs will be able to pull out with this series, but I'm really, really excited to see this series. I think it's going to be an amazing series.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very tough for the Spurs there. Let's finish up with the Western Conference. We got the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Houston Rockets. This feels like the one that has caveats to them. If Luka can come back by like game 4, game 5, this could become a 7-game series. But just looking at the rosters the way they are, I'm willing to give LeBron James 1 game, but that's about it. I say the Rockets in 5.
I'm going against the grain. You can have KD, Lakers with no AD, or not let Luka see his baby. Lakers in 5. Nah, I'm playing. I do think that this series is gonna go a lot differently than what a lot of people think. I think the Lakers can push this series, mostly because JJ Redick's scheme. Yeah. I've watched the Lakers versus the Rockets. Granted, Luka had some amazing games.
He did.
I do have to put that in the factor, but he had KD looking really just out of sorts because of the different bodies and stuff. And I am Luke. I will always say Luka's my favorite player. The one thing he is not very good at is defense, and the Lakers defense can get a little better with Reeves and Luka missing time. You're missing a lot on the offensive end, but now the likes of Vanderbilt gets more minutes. They have a rookie who I think should play in this series, Adu Thero, who's a really good defender. They have Marcus Smart is back and healthy. He's another elite defender. If Amen Thompson isn't aggressive and Jabari Smith misses some open shots and Tari Eason misses some open shots, I think they can push this series enough to get Luka back. And me knowing Luka, if he can walk, he will play. So
he is the ultimate playoff riser as well. Like I said, if the Lakers can push this to 6, then I think Luka will be back by like game 6, game 7.
And I don't know why.
But I'm just hedging my bets, and I'm just gonna say Rockets in 5.
The honest answer is definitely that the Rockets will win this series in 5 to 6 games. But I don't know. This just gives off a lot of that Mavericks run where Jalen Brunson had to carry the Mavericks before when Luka was hurt those first couple games. I've seen LeBron work miracles. I think that they can steal 1 or 2 games. I don't know. I do think that the Rockets will win this series just because I don't think the Lakers have enough offensive firepower to keep up with Kevin Durant at his best and Sengun. But I don't know, bro. Something's just telling me it's a gut feeling with how this NBA season has been going. I can see the Lakers somehow pulling this off in 6 and 7. I don't know though. Maybe it's my bias. Maybe it's bias.
Hey, I would be one that could be biased too, but I'm trying to be impartial here. I'm just going by the rosters that they have right now, and not trying to have false hope or just hope in general of Luka coming back, because hamstring injuries can be very tricky.
Yeah, the Rockets are definitely going to win this series, but I will not be surprised if they don't.
No, I would not be surprised either. But the best series, I think, of the first round in either conference, honestly, is going to be this one. We got the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Who do you have in this one?
I'm going to be extremely disappointed because I watched the last couple of Timberwolves games and Ant looks hurt. Ant doesn't look healthy. Knowing he's going to play through any injury he has. But I think we're going to get robbed of a really good series, and I think the Nuggets might run away with this one. I have the Nuggets. I'm going to give Ant 2. I have the Nuggets in 6. I just think that Ant isn't healthy, and I also just think that I just don't really like this Timberwolves team. I feel like Jaden McDaniels has kind of been underwhelming this year. Julius Randle is a good basketball player, but I've always been very big on him being inconsistent. Naz Reid is kind of had a down year this year as well. I just don't think that this is the same team that we saw the last 2 years. I think they've kind of reached their ceiling as Western Conference Finals back-to-back years, and I just don't see them giving that push again this year. The Nuggets are getting close to healthy. I don't think they'll be healthy either coming into this series, but I think they will have 2 of the top 3 players on the court for 90% of the time that they're playing basketball with Jokic and Jamal Murray. And like I said, the Timberwolves defense doesn't look as scary as it usually does. You know, it's just like they just don't look like that same team that we've seen the last 2 years. So I have the Nuggets in 6.
That is fair. That is definitely fair. Yeah, I think that the Timberwolves though have the kind of the mental edge over the Nuggets because of that last matchup that they had and beating them and basically eliminating them from the playoffs. What was it? 2 years ago. So I will take the mental edge and say that it goes 6 games at the very least. So I will take the Nuggets in 6 games. 6 games for the Nuggets. So then we go over to the Eastern Conference, and we got the Detroit Pistons. You got Detroit Pistons versus the 76ers. Yeah. And I got Detroit Pistons versus the Charlotte Hornets. So who you got? Pistons versus Sixers.
This is a very simple one for me. If Embiid is hurt, it's a clean sweep. They might lose every game by 30 points. If Embiid is playing, I have this series going to 7. I think that one thing that I've seen the Pistons struggle with is that guard and big man combo pick and roll. I watched it last year with Jalen Brunson and Cat, and I think Maxey and Embiid is very similar. And honestly, if me being unbiased, probably a better pick and roll duo than Brunson and Cat with how dynamic Embiid is and how dynamic Maxey is. I think that that's going to give them a lot of trouble, and I also think I'm one of those people that's kind of high on the Sixers defense. I think that if Paul George, locks in, VJ's been an elite defender the entire year. Like I said, Maxey's an underrated defender. Dominic Barlow plays very hard. Embiid's an underrated rim protector. Kelly Oubre's an underrated defender. Quentin Grimes is an underrated defender. They have guys that can guard Cade, and they can throw bodies at Cade. I wish Embiid was healthy. I'm gonna take the Pistons. If Embiid plays, I'm gonna take the Pistons in 7. If Embiid doesn't play, I'm gonna take the a sweep. I think the Pistons just completely obliterate them.
I'm gonna go with the Pistons and the Hornets. This one could go 7 games because of how hard they're gonna. And these two teams don't like each other. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a playoff fight in this series. But I will go with the Pistons in 6. I think that the Hornets are going to play them really hard and they're going to steal a game or 2. So I think the safe bet is Pistons in 6. And then we go to the bottom half of the Eastern Conference. We both got the Boston Celtics versus the Orlando Magic, taking Boston in 4.
Yeah, with this currently constructed Magic team and what they've shown me, I don't have any faith in them at all. I'll give it 5 because the Celtics always have that catastrophic game where they go 8 for 40 from 3. So it happens once a series. So I'll give the Magic 1 game, but I don't want to give them 1 game. I can fully see a sweep there. The Celtics are just light years better than them.
Yeah, that's why I'm going Boston in 4. That's the only sweep that I'm predicting here. Then we got the middle matchups. You got first the Cleveland Cavaliers 4 seed versus the Toronto Raptors 5 seed. I think this one might be going 7. I'll take the Cavs in 7. But it's gonna be it's gonna take a Donovan Mitchell virtuoso because we know James Harden ain't showing up if it goes 7.
And that's exactly why I'm also going to pick the Cavs. I'm stuck between 6 or 7. I'm going to go with 6 just because they will have the best player on the court for every game. Every time the ball goes up in the air, Donovan Mitchell will be the best player on the floor. I also think that just like this is a lot of, besides Brandon Ingram, this is guys' first time being in the playoffs on the Raptors side, being a main option in terms of Quickly and Scotty Barnes. They're not role players anymore. You guys are the team. You guys are the star players of the team. And that's a lot of pressure going up against a team, even though they haven't had the success in the playoffs, a team that's been in the playoffs constantly for the past 4 or 5 years, however long Donovan Mitchell's been there. I do think that Scotty Barnes is going to give Donovan Mitchell some trouble on the defensive end, and also RJ Barrett with his physicality. But I'm just going to go with the best. When it comes to series like this, where it's a toss-up, where the teams are pretty even, I just go with whoever has the better player. And I'm going to go with Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs to win this 6.
And then we got the matchup you're probably most interested in the Eastern Conference, the New York Knicks versus the Atlanta Hawks. The troll in me wants to say Hawks in 6, but I will go with Knicks in 7.
Very unbiased by me. This was probably the one team I did not want to see in the first round. I think they match up with us very, very, very well. And I will be honest, I am very nervous. I won't say scared, but I am very nervous. And I'm even more nervous because they're going to give us a run for our money while the Celtics are going to cakewalk to the next round and be fully rested for when they play us. But I do have the Knicks in 6. I think what's going to come to be a problem in this series is just the Hawks not having a true point guard. They have CJ McCollum, who's a combo guard. Jalen Johnson's an elite playmaker for his position. Like, don't get me wrong. They have guys that can make plays and play make, but when it comes down when you're facing Jalen Brunson, you got to have somebody on that other side who can stem the tide and control, because he's going to have his waves where he scores 10 in a row, or he's going to have his fourth quarter runs where it seems like he can't miss. And every time there's been a clutch game between the Hawks and the Knicks this season, the Knicks have won the game because Jalen Brunson's kind of taken over in that fourth quarter, and it's difficult not to have that killer on the other side. And this is just also another situation where this is guys' first playoff series where they're the main option. Nickeil Alexander-Walker's his first series being that guy. Jalen Johnson's first series being that guy. CJ McCollum has been that guy in the playoff series, and he's going to be a very big factor in this playoff series. I think he's going to have some really good games against us, but I just got to go with, like I said, what team's going to have the better player on the court for more of the games, and Jalen Brunson's going to be the best player on the court for more of the games, so I'm going to go with the Knicks in 6.
So then we both got probably pretty much all the same results. So we'll stick with the Eastern Conference. So that would mean we're getting the Cavs versus the Detroit Pistons. I will take the Pistons in 6. I think the Pistons just defensively, they're the better team. Offensively, they're not too far off from what the Cleveland Cavaliers can produce. And I just think that you're just counting on Donovan Mitchell to do too much offensively. I think defensively, the Cavs are not bad, but they're just good. And they got the anchor that is Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. But I just think that James Harden, I can't depend on him. I can't be confident in him the later it goes into these Eastern Conference playoffs. And I think that the Detroit Pistons have just come together, and they still have the youth. They don't have that much experience, not as much experience as the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's why we'll say that it goes like 6, maybe even 7, but I'll take Detroit Pistons in that one.
I'm also going to take the Pistons. I'm really trying hard not to be disrespectful because I don't like this Cavs team. But I'll give them a game. I'll take the Pistons at 5. I just don't think that Donovan Mitchell can do it by himself. And James Harden is just not the James Harden that we've come to know. And then the Pistons brand of defense. They're so physical with you. It's like they might be able to just take out Evan Mobley and Jared Allen on the defensive end just with how physical Jalen Duren is and Isaiah Stewart and all their bigs and Tobias Harris. Like they're all very physical down there. I think the Pistons are going to be a rare team where their offense really just generally doesn't matter with how well they defend. I think if it comes to a gritty game, a close down to the wire game, they'll just get more stops than the Cavs at the end of the day, where them being bad on offense or not up to par on offense won't really make a difference. I really want to say it's going to be a sweep, but I'll give the Cavs a game. So I got the Pistons in 5.
And then we got the final matchup of the semifinals in the Eastern Conference, and it's going to be a good one. It's a rematch from last year, the Boston Celtics versus the New York Knicks. I think Boston Celtics are coming for blood. They want revenge. They choked last year. They didn't. I can't even really say. I think the Knicks just played much better than them, but it was really part that and part the Boston Celtics choked. And those lot of games, they had a lot of games where they were in the lead and they just gave up the leads late. I think that they're coming for blood. I'm going to take the Celtics in 6.
Like I said before, I'm very sick that we have to face the Hawks first round because they're going to give us a run for our money. But there's one thing that's inevitable as a New York Knicks fan, and that's Jalen Brunson in the fourth quarter. And if he did that against Jrue Holiday, I have no worries that he's going to do that against Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. I think the Knicks win this series in 7 games. I think that what a lot of people are not going to take into account in this series is how well Mikal and OG guarded Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown last year. Did the Celtics lose games because of their own mistakes? Absolutely. But Mikal and OG made things very, very difficult for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum's one game was that game 5 in the Garden, or game 4. I forgot which one it was, where he had 40 before he tore his Achilles. But besides that, like OG was a guy a fringe wanted to put on first team on defense. Like his defense is elite. And body-wise, he matches up with Jason Tatum very well. And it's going to be a lot of pressure on Jaylen Brown to kind of fry Mikal Bridges. I think that Deuce McBride and Jose Alvarado is going to be a tough matchup for Peyton Pritchard off the bench. So I don't think he's going to really have as good as a series as he should have. And then there's going to be on those role guys, those young rookies, the Baylor Shiremans, the Jordan Walshes, the Neemias Catos in his first real role. And that's just like, I think they're a year away. That's just me, honestly. A lot of people are high on the Celtics being in the finals this year because Tatum looked very good coming off of a ridiculous injury. I'm not really high on those guys in their first playoff series against a very good team. So I'm still going to go with the Knicks in 7.
Bias pick. Let's finish off with the Western Conference semifinals. We pretty much got all all these picks. Let's start with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I think we both got the Houston Rockets. I will take Oklahoma City in 5. I think it's going to be 5 close games. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be, I still think that first game that they had in the regular season between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets is still like a top 3 regular season game this year. I think there are going to be some close games, but I just trust the defensive capabilities of the Thunder over the no point guard play of the Houston Rockets. And I think they're going to make KD's life a living hell with their scheme. So yeah, I'm taking Thunder in 5.
Sweep. Please bring out your brooms, bring out all your cleaning supplies. The Rockets will not win a game. I am sorry. If I watched JJ Redick with schemes with Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and 41-year-old LeBron out there have KD in shambles. I'm so concerned for what Mark Daigneault is going to do with Lou Dort, Cason Wallace, Jalen Williams, and all those Chet Holmgren, all those way better defenders. I'm just not high on the Rockets role players. They're too streaky for me. And if they don't make shots, KD won't be able to get off. And if KD can't get off, they have no offense. So I don't think they win a game, honestly. If they do win a game, it will be a same thing with the Celtics, the Thunder shooting 7 for 35 from 3 and having one of their worst games of the season. Besides that, I think it's a sweep.
Then we got the matchup that everybody's looking forward to. Denver Nuggets versus the San Antonio Spurs. Who I will take. This is tough for me. I gotta take the Nuggets in 7.
I'm gonna lose sleep picking this series. It's 100% going 7 games. There's no world that
it's definitely going 7 games. They're too well matched, evenly matched with these two teams.
This is so tough because the Spurs losing that last game messed up my whole bracket because I had the Spurs winning whoever won out of the Lakers and the Timberwolves, and then it was gonna be easy for me to pick. It's I'm just so stuck on that. I'm fixated on that last game that they just played where Jokic just literally took over and won them that game. It's I can see that happening for 7 games. And these are both. This is literally my preseason and my halfway through the season picks to win the NBA championship. So this is so hard for me to pick. If Aaron Gordon is healthy, like he's looked the past probably week, and he gets to playing his regular minutes a game, I have to go with the Nuggets, just that championship DNA and experience. But everything in my heart wants to pick the Spurs. I'm just so
I'm a well-known Nikola Jokic hater. Mm-hmm. It took so much of me to say that the Nuggets are winning, but they're the hottest team in the NBA, so I have to go with that.
I want to go with the Spurs so bad because I think the Spurs can win a championship this year. But what we've seen from the Nuggets the past month, I have to go with the Nuggets. I have to. Nuggets in 7.
So then we got 2 different matchups in the Eastern Conference. You got Detroit Pistons versus the New York Knicks. I got Detroit Pistons in the Boston Celtics. I will go Boston in 6 against the Detroit Pistons. Who do you got? Pistons and Knicks.
I also do not think this is the year for the Pistons to make it to the NBA Finals. We're going to have a freaking party in New York. Give me the Knicks to go to the finals in 6 games. I will be FaceTiming my uncle on WhatsApp while I'm at Madison Square Garden when they're doing the riots. Give me the Knicks in 6. I do believe that whoever wins between that Celtics and Knicks series is going to go to the NBA Finals. I just don't think the Pistons this is where I think their offense will come into play with them not having the best offense. I think it will come into play against the Celtics or the Knicks. I just think those 2 teams have similar defense with having a better offense. I just think they're really bad matchups for the Pistons, both of those teams. So I'm going to go with the Knicks in 6.
And then probably what's going to be the best matchup of the whole entire playoffs, Oklahoma City Thunder and the Denver Nuggets. I got to go with Thunder in 7. I think the Thunder are the better defensive team between these two teams. They have had their number in the regular season. They beat them last season. I just think that Shea is just unmatched as far as his efficiency. I think that the Nuggets are a great matchup for them. That's why they're going to take them to 7 games. But when it comes down to a game 7, I will take Oklahoma City Thunder in Oklahoma City 9 times out of 10, probably 10 out of 10.
And where me and my uncle have been at odds for the past 2 seasons, I will be taking the Denver Nuggets in 7 games. I think it was a very big asterisk on that win last year in the playoffs with no Aaron Gordon. I think Aaron Gordon will always be the key to the Nuggets beating good teams. He is just the epitome of an elite role player. He's perfect for Jokic. He always knows what spots to be in for Jokic on the offensive end. And he's elite on the defensive end, and he can guard so many other positions to kind of hide Jokic on the defensive end. I do also think there will be an asterisk on this year's win for the Nuggets. I haven't really seen the Jalen Williams that we saw last year, just him being back from his injury, and I think he's very, very key for the Thunder to beat the Nuggets. They need a secondary ball handler to take some of that pressure off SGA, because the Nuggets will come out with a game plan to completely try to take SGA out the game when it comes to late game situations and close games. And if Jalen Williams isn't the Jalen Williams that we saw last year, I don't know if the rest of the Thunder can kind of pick up that slack without SGA being who he is. I also think that Jamal Murray is just on a different level as well. And from just what I've seen, I just think that they're just really confident. Like I think that they're going into this playoff saying we weren't healthy the whole year and we still got a top 3 seed in the West. And I think that they're ready to make a push with a healthy team. But this is another thing where I could have picked the Spurs to win last series. I was going to pick the Spurs to beat the Thunder. I just don't think the Thunder are going back to back.
You're just a Thunder hater. Thunder hater.
I'll admit it.
I think the Thunder are making it back to the NBA Finals, and that would lead to, for me, Thunder versus Boston Celtics, and you got the New York Knicks versus the Denver Nuggets. Who wins Nuggets and Knicks in the finals?
I am a biased Knicks fan, but I've said it even from last year. No matter who the Knicks would have played out the West, we have no freaking shot. The Nuggets are winning. I would be surprised if the Knicks get 2 games. Nuggets might win at 5 or 6. I'll give it 6 to be nice. But if the Thunder, Spurs, or Nuggets win the West and the Knicks make it out the East somehow, they're not beating any of those teams. I'm an honest, biased person, and they're not beating the
honest, biased person is outrageous. This is why I don't want the Knicks to make the NBA Finals, because they have no shot whatsoever. I will take the Detroit Pistons defense against a Western Conference team, so it could at least push it to 6 games. The Boston Celtics, however, since I have Boston winning against the Knicks, against the Detroit Pistons in 6, I think they do match up really well with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I will take Thunder in 7. I think that we're going to have another 7-game series in the NBA Finals. I think Jaylen Brown's going to play out of his mind. I think Jason Tatum will be fully healthy and ready to go by that playoff series. And I think that Jalen Williams will be a playoff riser. He was last year a playoff riser. So I think that even though we haven't seen much of him coming back from injury so far, I think as he gets his legs under him and he gets back his shooting touch, I think we're going to see more of the Jalen Williams that we saw in the NBA Finals last year by the time we make it to the conference finals. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma City in 7.
Not mad at those picks at all.
Yes.
I think that will be the best series. Either Thunder Celtics or Nuggets Celtics will be the best NBA Finals series that we could possibly get.
Yeah, I think the Celtics are the only team that can match up with the Western Conference.
That's literally the only. That's why I said if they make the finals, we'll no matter who they face, will get an elite NBA Finals matchup. If they somehow choke again, I'm not gonna be paying attention much to the finals because it's not gonna be very competitive.
And if it's the Celtics versus the Spurs, I think the Celtics may pull it out because they have the experience.
I would say that, but I'm just so high on Stephon Castle. Like, he might take Jaylen Brown. He might make Jaylen Brown's life very, very tough during that series. Like, I'll take Stephon Castle.
That's fine because then Jason Tatum can finally win an NBA Finals MVP. Yeah. But yes, we have made it to the end of our playoff preview. Those are our predictions. It might not be yours, so let us know in the comments down below who you think is winning this year's NBA championship. Who do you think is winning all the regular season awards? We've given you our predictions. We want to hear from you now, so let us know in the comments down below. But thank you so much, TC, once again, for another edition of Tru Heel Heat Check. Let the people know where they can follow you on social media and when they might see you again.
Well, next time you guys will see me is definitely on the next episode of Tru Heel Heat Check. Making sure I'm here every week, but you can follow me on Instagram at IamTC1. That's my personal Instagram. My Twitch and Clips Instagram for my streaming is TC1 Clips. That is the name on Instagram and TikTok. My Twitch is Automatic TC. I stream about 4 to 5 times a week, so you can always go there and check me out if you want to, just hang out with me a little bit more. And as always, I'm very appreciative to be on this podcast and talk to you guys every week.
Absolutely. We always appreciate hearing you on the show. So you can follow me on the Twitter machine at Tru Heel SP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Tru Heel Heat. Patreon.com/Tru Heel Heat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content. The best place to support us when we are not live here or on the wrestling YouTube channel. We got a busy week ahead on Tru Heel Heat on Tru Heel Heat Wrestling because it is WrestleMania 42 weeks. So we got a full lineup of content for you to enjoy. If you haven't already, go over and check out our WrestleMania weekend preview where I previewed all of the independent shows around WrestleMania week. Check out our AEW Dynasty review from earlier this week, as well as Rated Raw review with the Go Home show ahead of WrestleMania. Tomorrow on the channel, we got our WrestleMania 42 preview, myself, Maggie, and Robert D. Felice. We have a special Friday edition of AE Ramble reviewing AEW Dynamite and Collision Spring Breakthrough. We got the Tru Heel Heat flagship podcast plus WrestleMania Night 1 watch party on Saturday. Sunday, we'll have the review of night 1 plus a watch party for night 2, and we close it all off on 420 with our WrestleMania 42 night 2 review. So much for you to enjoy over on that channel. Over on this channel, we got Clocking In tomorrow reviewing the Pit season 2, so check that out as well. So much to enjoy, and we're closing in on 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. Me and TC and hopefully Chris G will be back on the next edition of Tru Heel Heat Check. We'll probably check in. We'll probably do it, space it more out. Maybe we'll do a podcast next time after the first round of the NBA playoffs. So we have some time to let everything absorb and see where we're at after that. But check us out then. For TC, it is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. This has been Tru Heel Heat Check number 30, our 2025-26 NBA playoff preview. We are signing off until next time.